Tonight, we're not just telling a story. We're stepping into a world where the wind howled like justice and mercy was thrown overboard. Survival wasn't a matter of strength, but of obedience or defiance. Where the ocean could be your grave or your god, and every creaking plank beneath your feet could whisper your name as if it already knew how the story ends. You don't know it yet, but today will echo through time. The day you chose or were forced to join the mutiny and candle, you open your eyes. NTHE year is 1703, and you're standing on the deck of a sloop of war somewhere in the Caribbean Sea. Your hands are already calloused. Your shirt sticks to your back with a cocktail of blood, rain, and gunpowder. You don't remember signing on, but your wrists tell the truth. In raw rope burns, still healing, a choice was made for you. Or maybe you made it in a drunken portside daze. Either way, you are here, and here is hell. You are a common sailor. Not a captain, not a swashbuckler. Not the romantic dreamer in leather boots and a feathered hat. You scrub, you climb, you bleed, you obey. Every sunrise brings another round of orders, another bucket of stale salt pork, another lash of the bosun's whip if you move too slow. And above it all, Captain Maddox, an Englishman with fire in his beard and iron in his voice, man who hasn't smiled in 5 years, not since Tortuga, they say. He walks the deck like he owns the ocean itself, and perhaps he does because no one, not even the gunner's mate with a face like hammered copper, dares to speak when Maddox is near. You learn quickly, never speak out of turn. Never step out of line. Never ask for more water. NBUT. Even now, something is brewing. In the shadows below deck. In the muttered curses in 6 different tongues. Spanish, Irish, Dutch, French, tongues cracked by salt and long-buried rage. They speak in hushed tones. They speak of change. And though you don't dare join them, you listen, because what they speak of isn't madness. Tigmudi Danis's mutiny. You didn't know it would come to this. NBUT now, watching the crew cast sideways glances, watching a knife disappear into a coat sleeve, watching Maddox turn his back without knowing his time is ticking. You begin to feel it too. NTHAT dark possibility curling in your stomach like a storm cloud. NTHAT question. What if you didn't have to wait for orders? What if the rum ration? It's not just talk anymore. It's inevitable. And NBUT, don't get ahead of yourself. For now, you are still a sailor. Still just one heartbeat in a ship of 50. Still subject to the lash, the rot, the stink of bilge water, the endless roll of the sea. Still too weak to change anything, and too afraid not to. Your bunk is a damp hammock, barely wide enough to keep your arms inside. You sleep between a man with no nose and another with too many teeth. You dream of storms and ropes snapping. Same deck, same orders. Same silence between men with too much rage in their eyes. Something is going to break. Then when it does, you will not be ready. Legacy line, crystal balm. You don't know it yet, but this day will echo through time. Long after your bones rot beneath the waves, someone will still whisper your name, wondering if you were brave or just desperate. Footprint. Let the day begin. Welcome to life before the mutiny. Before the black flag rises. Before blood stains the deck. You're not the hero. You're not the villain. You're just caught in the tide. And tonight, The tide turns. N. Before your eyes fully open, something already burns your nose. Rotting leather. Damp salt. A burst of mildew and something worse. Unmistakable human waste, swirled with wet tobacco. The scent clings to your throat like a curse. You gag, but softly. The man snoring inches from your ear has a knife tucked beneath his shirt. You know because he showed it to you last night without smiling. You slept in your clothes. You always do now. NTHE, blanket you clutched was stiff with seawater and old vomit. The hammock cradling your ribs squeaked all night, not from motion, but from rats running along the ropes, and one dropped onto your chest around midnight. You didn't scream. You just lay there, letting it sniff your chin before it leapt away. You're learning, and learning what happens if you're too loud. You sit up slowly. Your back cracks. Your hips ache from the sway of the sea. There's a welt on your neck from where the rope rubbed too hard against your skin, or maybe from someone's boot heel as they climbed over you in the dark. Light seeps through the cracks in the planks above. It's not dawn. It's the hour before dawn, that cold, cursed time when nothing feels real and everything smells like it's already dying. You breathe in, too shallow. You'll get used to it. Nor you won't. You stumble across the lower deck, bare feet finding puddles of things better left unnamed. Your fingers graze the beams overhead, wet with old tar and sticky mold. Every surface drips, and this ship, this floating coffin, leaks from every joint. The walls sweat, the ropes weep. Even the lanterns seem to bleed wax slower than time itself. And above, somewhere far too close, the footsteps begin. Boots slapping hard wood, voices barking orders, someone dragging a barrel or a corpse. You can't tell which. And you reach the ladder. The iron rungs are slick. Your fingers wrap tight, knuckles white, and you haul yourself up into the world above. And that's when the sky punches you in the face. And wind slams into you like it's angry. Salt crusts your lips instantly. The morning is gray and raw, a palette of bruises. No sun, just the rolling blanket of storm-waiting clouds. NTHEC is alive. NNOT, just moving, heaving, churning with endless contempt. The ship tilts to starboard and your stomach follows, too fast. This is how every day begins. NNTHE bosun's whistle screams. Sharp as broken bone. You flinch. Everyone does. Even the veterans. The sun-scorched ones with old scars and missing fingers. Jump to attention. Because the whistle means work. N, and work means pain. And pain means you still get to live. And you are handed a bucket. And not of water, and of sand and vinegar. Your job? Scrub the deck with your knees. You kneel. The wood bites you back. Your rag is made of rough hemp. Your hands already sting. You work in silence beside another man. His beard is full of lice. He coughs blood into the wind, then wipes his mouth and nods at you. That's the closest thing to a greeting you'll get all week. And skull. Surprise historical, fact N. Did you know sailors in the early 1700s were not allowed to bathe with fresh water? Every drop was rationed, 1 gallon per man per day, used only for drinking and boiling food. N. So you cleaned yourself with salt water, sand, or not at all. Scurvy, lice, dysentery. These weren't exceptions, they were expected. And if you smelled too strong, they burned vinegar in the air, just to mask the stench of men rotting alive. Your hands go numb. NTHE ship sways, your bucket spills. A voice behind you mutters something foul, then a boot kicks your spine. Faster, you maggot. You don't look back, because if it's the quartermaster, the air gets heavier, rain threatens, then backs off, as if the sea itself is playing with your suffering. NBY midday, your shoulders are blistered, your lips cracked white, and your stomach still empty. You haven't eaten in 36 hours. They say the cook is drunk again, or maybe dead. No one knows. No one checks. You won't get food until they say you've earned it. And how do you earn it? By surviving. You glance up from your scrubbing. And across the deck, a boy no older than 12 is being shouted at by a gunner. The boy nods, stumbles, then slips on a coil of rope and slams his head into the mast. He doesn't cry. He just stays there, breathing hard, eyes unfocused. NTHE gunner kicks him. And once and twice, NN01 moves. You don't either, because if you do, you're next. Man to your right mutters something in Gaelic. You catch only one word, storm, and as if summoned, the wind changes. It becomes sharper, slicing, cold, despite the heat of the tropics. A gull cries, not its usual scream, but something lower, closer, almost human. You shiver. There are omens at sea. Everyone knows that. NNTHE captain hasn't appeared today, but his shadow lingers. You can feel it, like a knife edge against your spine. When Maddox does appear, and he'll expect order, cleanliness, obedience, Binian. And if he doesn't get it, you've seen men tied to the mast, whipped until their bones showed, thrown overboard for theft, or worse, tied to the bow and dragged through the waves until the sharks arrived. There is no law here, only command. NNBY sunset. Your legs tremble, your hands are cracked, your back feels broken, and still the work goes on. Someone sings a sea shanty, broken, off-key, half in French. It dies in the air, swallowed by the creak of ropes and the slap of sails. You don't belong here, you know that, and yet you do. The stink of the ship is under your skin now. The sting of salt has become your breath. And the ocean, cruel, endless, godless, is now your only home. This is your first true day as a sailor. You survived it. You survived it. You survived it. Lull boat. Anchor, your first task. Stay alive until midday. NTHE sun hasn't risen yet. Not fully, but the ship is already alive. Men groan as they wake, stretch, piss into buckets, and spit onto the floorboards. You hear coughing. Not the sick kind, but the dry, rattling bark of sailors who've smoked pipes since they were children. You see fingers curling through hair knotted with tar and salt. You smell vomit. You smell fear. This is not a battlefield. Not yet. This is the world between pain and duty. The time of day where your body starts to rot faster than your will. Your first task? Stay alive long enough to reach midday. That's it. There is no glory to chase. No treasure map to follow. No pirate's code to recite. Just survive. Higher survive the cold. Survive the whip. Higher sword tire. Survive the hunger. Survive the stares of men who might slit your throat if they think it'll earn them an extra ration. You stand up. Your legs wobble. Your left knee won't straighten. You don't remember why. Maybe the fall from the mast 3 days ago. Maybe the kick in your sleep. No one explains bruises out here. They're just gifts from the sea. You wipe your face on your sleeve. It stinks. Everything stinks. Even your own skin has begun to betray you. Oily, blistered, and clinging to your bones like wet fabric. Your mouth is dry. You dreamt of water last night, and fresh, cold, overflowing water. Now the only thing that drips is your own sweat. And you shuffle toward the deck. A man shoves past you on the ladder, elbow catching your ribs. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't says anything. Not unless they need something, and no one ever needs you. You step into the morning air. The sun, finally awake, spits gold across the ocean, but nothing about it feels warm. You blink hard, because what hits you now isn't beauty, it's the eyes. They're watching you. NTHE helmsman, the carpenter, even the boy with the bloody nose who sleeps next to the cannon. All of them watch you. NNOT openly. Not for long. NBUT enough. Enough to make your gut clench and your thoughts start running. Do they know I'm new? Do I look weak? Do they see I don't belong here? You try to walk confidently. You try to mimic the sway of their steps, the way they spit over the rail, the way they carry ropes like they were born with them in hand. NBUT, your shoulders are too tight. Your fingers shake when you grip the cleat. Your fingers shake when you grip the cleat. You drop a knot once, just once, and you hear the quiet laugh behind you. Your chest tightens. You clench your jaw. You move anyway, because you know what happens to the slow ones. You've seen it. Below deck, they find you work. You are handed a blade with no handle, just rusted metal wrapped in sailcloth. Scrape the barnacles, they say. And so you lower yourself off the side, tied only by a waist rope, knuckles white around the slimy railing. NTHE hull is your whole world now, a wall of wood and crust and old blood. You begin to scrape, and it takes hours. You won't scream, because your lungs will be too full of salt. Never forget that. You didn't forget. You just didn't believe her. Until now. They haul you back up and your arms nearly give out on the way. Not at you, just because he remembered something cruel from yesterday. You collapse on the deck. NTHE sun is straight above now. You made it to midday, and barely. And then the bell rings, mess call and food. You stumble toward the queue forming near the galley hatch. The line sways like the sea itself. One by one, men take their portions. When it's your turn, the cook doesn't look at you. He just slops a ladle of brown sludge into a tin bowl. And salt pork, hard biscuit, dried peas, but mostly gristle and grease. The biscuit is hard enough to crack a tooth. You dunk it in water, what little they give you, and chew slowly. It's disgusting. NBUT, you don't complain, because complaining gets you no food the next day, nor a beating, nor both. You sit on a coil of rope and eat, and a seagull lands beside you. You flick a crumb its way, and it doesn't move. And its eye is wide. It's already dead. You hadn't noticed. You keep eating, or you'll fall off. One or the other. Then he gets up, tosses his bowl into a barrel, and walks off. No name. No farewell. N. Just advice, like a ghost whispering to someone already halfway gone. Your body aches. And all the while the sea waits beneath you like an open mouth. NIF you fall. Your mind wanders. You stare at the waves. You wonder how far the nearest land is, and whether your bones would float if they found their way into the deep. You're not afraid of death, NOT anymore. You're afraid of not mattering, NOF disappearing into the ocean with no name, no song, no story. Just another forgotten sailor who scraped the... You're just a man with cracked lips and bruised hands, chasing survival one heartbeat at a time. NBUT soon. The wind will change. The whispers will grow louder. The knives will come out. And when they do, NN01 will be watching you anymore. They'll be watching who you stand beside, and whether you flinch when blood hits the deck. The wind changes, not in the sails, though they flutter and strain with restless breath, but in the men. You feel it in the hush that falls too quickly after laughter, in the sudden silence when the quartermaster walks by, in the way mugs are passed with glances instead of jokes, in the tightening of jaws, the flicker of steel, the clench of fists. Something's boiling below deck, and not just the salted beef stew turning sour in the barrels. You wake one dawn to find blood on the deck. Not much, just a smear near the mizzenmast. A rat gutted? A sailor's nose bloodied in the night? No one speaks of it. But the crew steps carefully around the stain, as if it were sacred, as if it were a sign. And you've started noticing patterns. Each day, the same huddle of men, Black Tom, Wexley the cook, that one-eyed Portuguese, gather around a coil of rope or the galley's barrel. Their voices low, their faces shadowed, and their words veiled in metaphor and malice. They speak of storms that are man-made, of free men and false captains, of coin that flows only one way from hand to whip, and of the deep, where every chain eventually sinks. You pretend not to hear, but you're listening, and you know they're planning something, mutiny. One sailor refuses to scrub the deck. Another accidentally spills the captain's grog. Knots are tied poorly. Orders are obeyed too slowly. Eyes linger too long on the armory. You watch it all unfold, torn between dread and awe, and a mutiny, the ultimate defiance. And you're caught between the devil and the deep. NNBUT, you've changed too. Weeks at sea have hardened your hands and hollowed your stomach. Salt crusts your skin. Sun scars your neck. Your nails are black. Your legs ache. And your eyes. Your eyes have learned to read the sea and the men. You are no longer who you were on the docks. You are not the trembling apprentice. You've become something else, something sharper. You've made allies. Careful ones. Bosun Gray, who trusts no one but grumbles warnings in your ear. Old Mercer, the ship's carpenter, who lost a son to pirates and keeps a hatchet under his bunk. They tell you choose your side, soon. Mutiny don't wait for votes. When the cutlasses come out, there's no middle. NTHE ship grows quieter by day, and louder at night. You hear whispers through the thin planks and codes. Promises. Threats, a creak of footsteps when everyone should be sleeping. The hiss of steel being sharpened, slow and rhythmic, like the rasp of a viper's breath. One night you find a map scratched onto a scrap of sailcloth. It marks the ship's layout and highlighting the armory, the captain's quarters, the rum stores, and scrawled in red ink a single word soon. Then comes the storm, NNOT, the one in the sky, though that too brews on the horizon, thick with bruised clouds and lightning teeth. No, This storm walks, no fight, no shout, just gone, and a ghost swallowed by the hold. Captain Rourke calls all hands. His voice, once booming, now uncertain. NHE swears justice, demands loyalty. Ribberophon's promises coin. NBUT, his words bounce off hollow faces. You are sweating on empty scabbards. You are sweating. You know it's closed now. You know it's closed now. And the mutiny? A few more days? A few more hours? And what will you do? Fight for the captain, whose wrath you've tasted? Or throw in with a shadow, a fog? And all you have is this ship, this choice, end this reckoning. NNTHAT, night thunder rolls. Rain lashes the sails like a whip. N. The crew scrambles, some for safety, some for secrecy. You see Wexley slip something under the galley bench, and a cutlass perhaps. Or poison. You don't ask. You pass Black Tom on the steps, his smile thin as rope. He nods, and you know NTHE time has come. Yunong chains. Tomorrow blades will be drawn, voices will rise, and blood will christen the deck like wine at a devil's feast. You are not ready, but the sea doesn't wait. NNOT for cowards, not for kings, not for you. Anne? You wake to shouting. NNOT, the usual shipboard chaos. No groaning wood, no shouted orders. This is something more primal, louder, raw. It tears you from sleep like a blade drawn across your throat. You're in the lower hold, curled beside a salt-stiffened rope coil. The air stinks of tar, sweat, and bilge water. Above, heavy boots slam the planks. Steel clashes. Voices rise in fury. You know what this is. NTHE mutiny has begun. Your heart thunders like war drums as you scramble to your feet. Your hands grope the darkness, grabbing nothing but damp air and the splinters of panic. NFOR weeks it had brewed in whispers. Eyes exchanged over slop buckets. Knots of men pausing when officers passed. Grievances muttered beneath breath about rations, floggings, false promises of plunder. The first mate called it grumbling. It was never just grumbling. You dash for the ladder but stop halfway up. Screams now. A pistol cracks like thunder. Then, silence. And wet silence. When you finally climb into the gray dawn, it's as if the sea itself holds its breath. NTHE deck is chaos. Blood smears the planks. A body lies twisted near the helm, face down, red pooling from the head. The captain's hat lies beside it, soaked. You recognize Jenkins, the bosun. He stands above the corpse, sword trembling in hand, eyes wide in disbelief at what he's done. He wasn't supposed to be first. And around him, men stare, not cheering, not gloating, just stunned. The line has been crossed. There's no returning now. No Kingsman rules here now. Jenkins says finally, voice hoarse. Only us. NNTHE next few minutes unravel like a nightmare. Someone tosses the quartermaster overboard. Others ransack the officers' stores. Rum, weapons, boots, not worn thin. The mutineers start shouting names. Loyalists, spies, favorites of the captain, favorites of the captain. And a boy not much older than you is dragged forward. You remember him. His name is Caleb. He once shared half his biscuit, when yours was moldy. Now he sobs as a blade is pressed to his chest. They make you vote. That's the horror of it. Not the killing, the voting. Show of hands to decide his fate. The mob looks to you. You hesitate, just for a heartbeat. That's enough. They count your silence as betrayal. And Caleb dies screaming. NNTHE. Ship changes hands that morning. Not with ceremony, but with blood and fear and a kind of primitive logic. A man named Black Tom is declared the new captain. He has no experience, no maps, no leadership, only a loud voice and a reputation for killing without regret. NHE rules now. NNO law. No articles of agreement. No votes unless he allows it. NT hoes who resist are flogged or thrown to the sea. You stay quiet. Work harder. Keep your head down. NBUT. The ship changes in more than just leadership. The air grows heavier, as if the sea itself watches. The mutiny has unmoored something deeper than the command structure, something spiritual, sacred, even. Once, you were afraid of officers. Now, you are afraid of your crewmates. Fear is everywhere. Every whispered word could be your last. A single wrong glance, and you could find a knife in your back before nightfall. There is no trust anymore. No hierarchy, no security. Everyone's a potential traitor or victim. And worse than the fear is the guilt. You lie awake each night thinking of Caleb, of the boy's eyes, of how you didn't raise your hand. NTHEC doesn't care. NBUT, your conscience does. And one morning, Jenkins, the man who killed the captain, doesn't wake up. NHI's throat has been slit. NTHE men don't ask questions. They don't need to. And Black Tom simply shrugs and says, the sea takes who it wants. But the sea didn't take Jenkins. NTHE men did. And now they're starting to eat themselves. And weeks pass. The ship wanders with no real course. Black Tom steers by gut and rage. Supplies dwindle. Fresh water spoils. Salt pork turns gray. Worms in the biscuit barrel. Nadness brews. And one night you hear laughter coming from the prow. It's too high, too wild. You creep forward and see 3 men tearing pages from a Bible and setting them alight, cackling. One urinates on the fire. They catch you watching, and they let you live, this time. NBUT, you know they'll remember your face, and you dream of land, of justice, of waking up and discovering it was all fevered nightmare. But each day you rise to the same world, a splintering ship, haunted by mutiny. And it is no longer a crew. And it is a curse. You ask yourself, NWA, is it worth it? NWA's freedom from tyranny worth becoming monsters? No one speaks of the old captain now. No one dares. It's as if acknowledging him might summon some ghostly vengeance. You still wear the rope-burned scars from hauling the mainmast under his rule. NBUT now. Now you'd give anything to go back. And at least tyranny had structure. Now you have chaos. And chaos, it turns out, doesn't feed you, doesn't spare you, and doesn't sail for shore. The sun's light has shifted. Once it gilded the sails with gentle gold. Now it hangs low, like a blade in the sky, crimson, merciless, already soaked in blood. You stand at the edge of decision, or rather, you're being shoved toward it. For in the world of pirates, neutrality is not an option. You either stand with the mutiny or you're thrown overboard. Spine first onto the mercy of the sharks, they bring you to the quarterdeck. Barefoot men, shirtless and scarred, surround you in a tight circle. Some still carry the stains. At the center of it all stands Ezekiel Marr, the mutiny's bloody architect. His shirt open to the belly, his chest a roadmap of lashes and old wounds, and his right hand still drying with someone else's blood. NHE doesn't shout. NHE whispers. And it's more terrifying than any roar. We are no longer slaves to the lash, he says. But freedom has a price. If you wish to sail under a new banner, you'll sign it in blood. NHE gestures to a scrap of tattered sailcloth stretched across a barrel. On it is scrawled a makeshift pirate code, a rough charter of equality, loot shares, and brutal consequences. Each man is expected to prick his thumb and leave a smear beside his name. NNOT in ink, but in blood. You glance down. The dagger is passed to you. Not with fear, but something more ancient. Not with fear, but something more ancient. The kind of silence that lives in rituals. The kind that hums before execution. You hesitate because you still believe somewhere in your ribs that law matters and that the British Crown or the Royal Navy or God himself will come and set this right. NBUT out here, there's no king, your thumb trembles. You're no killer. You are a cooper, a barrel maker, a press-ganged craftsman who once believed in honest labor and Sunday hymns. Now you're being asked to become something else. N.A. pirate, an outlaw, a brother in blood to murderers. And you signed ad because survival is louder than conscience. Your thumb smears a thin line of red across the canvas. Ezekiel nods, not smiling, but satisfied. The others grunt approval. You've just committed your first crime as a free man, and the price of that freedom is that you can never return. In THAT night, the air changes. In THEC is unnaturally still, the sails limp like hanging skin. Above stars glitter like bone fragments tossed across black velvet. The deck creaks under the weight of tension and guilt. Wonder N, the taste of blood. It starts in silence, NNOT, the kind of silence that follows prayer or even storm. This silence is brittle, dry tinder waiting for flame. You wake at dawn to an unnatural stillness, no call for sails, no clatter of buckets. Just the low creak of the hull and the groan of ropes shifting in the windless morning. Something is wrong. You sit up in your hammock. From above, muffled voices, too many, cluster near the quarterdeck, and below, shadows move where they shouldn't. Armed shadows. Your bunkmate, a wiry boy from Bristol with missing teeth and too many stories, grips your arm. His whisper is a ghost in your ear. They're doing it. It's happening now. NTHE mutiny.N. For days, the whispers spread like rot through the crew, that the captain's holding back coin, that there's treasure hoarded under false flooring, that the quartermaster's been bribed, and that death is better than another week of boiled rat and salt scum. And now it explodes. You creep up to the main deck. You're not the only one. Others gaunt, shirtless, sleepless. Emerge with blades wrapped in rags, clubs whittled from spare wood, pistols stolen from the arms chest. and half. Then the blood starts, and gunshot cracks, someone screams, and suddenly the ship is a riot of limbs, shouts, and steel. You duck behind barrels as a blade whizzes past your head. The helmsman is run through. You inst nos bestad kin. The helmsman is thrown overboard, his scream cut short by the sea. Two men fight over a cutlass like dogs over bone. There is no good side here. They bash skulls with belaying pins, tear at faces with broken glass. The mutineers, hungry, you want to run. NBUT where? You're trapped between a dying command and a wild rebellion. Both sides scream. Both sides bleed. The deck is slick with it. Name man you shared grog with last night dies beside you, throat cut open, eyes wide like moons. Another, a mutineer, begs for mercy with both arms raised, only to be struck down anyway. NNO1's keeping score anymore. NTHE ship rocks with the weight of violence. Above, gulls scream. Below the sea watches, you crawl across the deck, slipping a hatch, a shattered oar. Ninas, you reach the stairs to the forecastle. Just as a powder keg is kicked loose and rolls past you, a spark lands near it. Boom! NTHE explosion doesn't kill you, but it deafens one ear and throws you into the base of the mast. You lie there, dazed, breath knocked out of you, and that's when you see it. In the middle of it all, the flag. NTHE captain's flag. Naval, proper, sanctioned, torn down, burning at the edge of a lantern spill, and in its place, they raise the black, rough, hand-stitched, .NA skull without teeth, two crude bones. You've just witnessed it. Name mutiny has succeeded. NBUT, the worst, hasn't even started. Man, the wind has turned, but so have you. You're no longer the boy who stood trembling on the dock, not the man who begged the sea for mercy, not the trembling soul who flinched at blood. Now, when you are the storm. You've learned to balance on blood-slicked deck planks, and to sleep with one eye open beneath creaking beams, and to steal before being stolen from, and to laugh at death when it peers through the fog. You've become something else, and wave you walk different now. You used to walk softly, unsure, with the gait of a land dweller. Now your steps carry the swagger of salt and steel. Your boots clunk like drums of warning. Your eyes scan like a shark's, looking for weakness, watching for gold. You don't look away from the hangings anymore. You tie the knots. You don't weep during storms. You curse the thunder for being late. Something in your soul has calcified. A new language has written itself in your blood. No one teaches you to be a pirate. The sea sculpts it into you, and you let. A newer crewman spills a barrel of grog near your bunk. He stammers, apologizes, eyes wide. A few months ago, you would have done the same. Now, you raise your blade, not to strike, but to remind. He flinches. The deck goes quiet. You let the silence linger before chuckling and sheathing your sword. Now in power. It feels good, now and too good. Now, and you never set out to become the Sen. But in a place where mercy is weakness and hesitation gets you killed, now and you have no choice. Now and you become the monster to survive among monsters. Now, candle a moment of stillness, NDH80 night, you stare into the sea again. NBUT. It no longer stares back. You wonder if your soul sank during one of the raids, torn apart with the other plundered ships. A gull cries in the dark. The waves lap soft like breath. And for a flicker of time, you remember your mother's voice. NTHE bakery down your lane. NTHE feel of dirt between your toes. You want to go home. But what is home now? NTHE shore is a memory. This power comes with a price. Whispers follow you now like shadows. Jealous eyes watch your every move and one wrong step, and they'll gut you in your sleep. You sleep with your dagger under your pillow now. You've stopped dreaming altogether. And even the captain started watching you differently. You see it in the way he speaks to you, that subtle tone of mistrust, of calculation. You're no longer a pawn. You're becoming a threat. And threats don't live long on a pirate ship. Face mask. The mask of the sea devil. Some night you wear your cruelty like a mask. You laugh when they kill. You cheer when they burn. But beneath it, N.A. whisper in, what have I become? N-B-U-T, you drown that voice. You have to, because if you listen too long, you'll lose your grip. You don't remember falling asleep. Only that the rum burned down your throat and the ship rocked like a cradle, and the voices around you slowly blurred into the creaking of the hull and the hush of water against wood. When your eyes open again, it's not to dawn, it's to shouting, and the sound of steel drawn in anger. You jolt upright. The hammock swings wildly. A pistol shot cracks in the dark, muffled but close. Then another, this one sharper, followed by a grunt and a thud. Then comes the roar. To hell with the captain! NTHE deck above explodes into chaos. Boots thunder. Men scream. You hear steel bite flesh. The mutiny has begun. And you're still below, half awake and unarmed. And you scramble out of the hammock barefoot, grabbing the knife from your belt, heart pounding so hard it shakes your ribs. Another sailor slams through the door, blood streaked across his tunic, eyes wide with panic. They've started it, he hisses. They've taken the quarterdeck. Quartermaster's got Flint by the throat. Flint, the man who made you drink blood and kiss the flag. He's going down. You don't know whether to feel relief or fear, because there's no middle now, no third option. No crawling back to the king's mercy. No sailing home to your old life. You're either with the mutineers or you die with the loyalists. And you've already broken the first oath. You grab your pistol and follow the bloody trail upward. The hatch is open, moonlight pouring down like cold milk on wet wood. When you climb onto the main deck, the air is split with fury. .NA circle has formed around the helm. Steel flashes. Blood pools slick between boots. Flint, the captain, shirt torn, one arm bleeding, stands defiant, even as a blade is pressed to his neck. NHI's eyes sweep the deck. They land on you. You boy. His voice is cracked but commanding. Are you with me or against me? Speak. Your lips part, but no words come. He's the man who starved you, who beat a boy for coughing out of turn, who let others rot in chains while he dined in silks above deck. NBUT. He's still your captain, nor was NTHE quartermaster shouts. He's with us. He took the mark. And the sword slices across Flint's throat before you can answer. Silence. And even the wind dies. NTHE captain's body falls like a broken mast, blood fanning out like spilled ink across the planks. NTHE mutiny is complete. You are now, officially, a pirate. No more articles. No more court-martials. No king to beg from. No land to run back to. NTHE world has narrowed to the wood beneath your feet and the barrel of your pistol. Someone claps a hand on your back. We're free now, brother, he says. The ship's ours. The treasure's ours. Ain't no one gonna tell us when to eat or when to bleed. NHE grins wide, teeth missing. Blood smeared across his face. NBUT, you don't smile back. Because in that silence, something heavy curls inside your gut. It isn't regret. Not quite. It's the sudden knowing that everything safe has died. There's no glory in it. NNOT in the bloodied corpses. Not in the weeping boy who held a knife too long in his hand. Not in the way the sea, for all its vastness, suddenly feels like a prison with no walls, only water and sharks and the memory of your choice. You are free. NBUT freedom is sharp and brutal and laced with consequence, and you've already shed your first captain. You just pray you don't one day shed your second, nor your own. Nen. You don't sleep that night. NTHE ship creaks like an old throat whispering your fate. Above you, the stars burn like watching eyes. Distant, silent, cold. You're chained to a mast, ankles rubbed raw by rusted iron, wrists bound behind your back like an animal ready for slaughter. Dawn doesn't break so much as bleed. When the first light arrives, it's not golden. It's gray, the color of pewter and bone. It drips across the deck like a dull blade being drawn. The pirates are already awake, faces gaunt, eyes glittering with anticipation. Some chew on jerky, others sharpen knives. One hums a hymn mockingly out of tune. You taste the morning in your mouth. Salt, iron, and fear. NTHE Captain. No longer the man in uniform who once barked Royal Navy orders, but the bearded, blood-streaked mutineer who wears the title like a crown of thorns, calls for silence. NHI's boots thud across the deck as he addresses the crew. We got two kinds of men aboard this ship now. The free and the false. Every eye turns to you. You feel it, the weight of 40 stares, as if you've already been pushed from the plank. They form a half circle around you. The captain steps forward. In one hand, he holds your confiscated diary. In the other, a flintlock pistol. NHE reads aloud. And passages you forgot you wrote. Dreams of returning home, complaints about the food, doubts about the voyage, your horror at the mutiny. Words meant only for your soul, now twisted into damning testimony. NHE spits. In a man who watches blood spilled and writes poetry about it. Ain't a brother. He's a priest in disguise, a spy, a weak link. They don't see you anymore. NNOT, the boy who helped repair sails, not the one who laughed under moonlight or scrubbed blood from the deck after the quartermaster was flogged. You are something else now, a ghost with a beating heart, a threat, a reminder of what they once were before they sold their souls for salt and silver. The trial is swift, faster than the wind that fills the sails. You speak once, and I didn't betray you. I didn't tell a soul. I'm just trying to survive. NBUT the sea doesn't care about truth, and neither do men who've burned their own consciences to stay warm at night. They don't call it execution. They call it justice. And justice, aboard a pirate ship, doesn't wear a robe. It wears a blindfold made of blood. They bring out the plank. It's not like in the tales. There's no dramatic music, no slow walk. Just two men shoving it out over the water while gulls scream in circles above. NTHE Captain hands you a choice. Walk or we throw ye. Your knees wobble. Your stomach has collapsed into itself. You step forward, 1 foot, then another. Below, the sea yawns wide, not blue, but black. A coffin that moves. You think of home, of your mother's hands, of firewood crackling, of warm bread. You think of laughter. You step again. NTHE plank bends under your weight. Salt wind rips through your shirt. The sea chants its 1,000-year hymn below, waves clapping like a cruel audience. 1 more step, you close your eyes. And leap. NNBUT. The story doesn't end with death. NNOT yet. NTHE ocean does not grant mercy. Yuquan see other. Yuquan lied. It punishes. NTHE fall knocks the wind from your lungs. You hit the water hard, like slamming into stone. Salt floods your nose, your throat. You sink, and up above you hear laughter. A splash, then silence. Your hands, still tied, flail uselessly. The sea drags you down like it's claiming its due. Your eyes burn. The pressure squeezes your skull. This is it. NNO songs. No hero's end. Just a body drifting into the deep, nameless, and forgotten. NBUT fate, cruel and strange, plays another hand. And a shape in the dark. Wood. A barrel, broken loose during last night's storm. It brushes your shoulder like a whisper. You bite it. Cling with your teeth like a drowning rat. Somehow, your head breaks the surface. You gasp. Cough. NS cream. NBUT. The ship is already fading into the mist, and now you are a man alone in the middle of nowhere. No compass, no sail, no God, just water in every direction, and the sound of your own heartbeat slowing hours pass. Maybe days. NTHE sun beats down like punishment. Your lips crack. Your throat burns. You see things. A church in the clouds. Your brother waving from shore. A ship that isn't real. Then sails, and white against the blue. Real, and you cry out. NTHE figure aboard sees you. A shout. A rope thrown. Hands lifting your limp body onto the deck. You collapse. NNOT dead. NNOT saved. Just between. NN. You sit in chains now. NTHE sun glares down on your back, your shirt ragged and stained with blood and salt. The deck is quiet, eerily so, except for the steady creak of the ropes and the snapping of the Jolly Roger in the wind above. You never thought you'd see that flag again and feel fear instead of thrill. Your hands tremble. Not from cold, but from the awful knowledge of what's coming. You are not a man anymore. You are a question waiting to be answered. N.A. board, this floating republic of terror. There are no courtrooms, only the circle. The judgment ring. NTHE crew has gathered around you, their eyes glinting like knives under the Caribbean sun. A broken bottle glistens at one man's feet. Another holds a length of rope like a priest preparing for communion. NTHE quartermaster stands in the center. He reads your charges, not from parchment, but from memory. Sowed discord during mutiny. Failed to carry out orders. Drank more than your ration. hid silver coins from the communal chest. You try to explain. Your voice cracks. No one listens. Out here, pirate law is blunt and swift, merciless, democratic in the cruelest way. They vote. Hands rise, slowly at first, then more. Then more. You stare in disbelief as even your bunkmate, who once sang with you under the stars, raises his palm. Your sentence is sealed. Marooning. You don't even fully understand the word until the quartermaster spells it out with the precision of a man sharpening a blade. You'll be dropped on a sand spit near La Blanquilla. No water, no food, one pistol, one shot. If the sea doesn't take you, your own mind will. NTHE crew doesn't cheer. This isn't entertainment. This is order, discipline, pirate justice. They say pirates had no law. They were wrong. They just didn't have mercy. Ende. Wave the row to exile, and hours later, you're rowed out to a desolate strip of coral and sand, smaller than a city block. Crabs skitter. Birds screech overhead. The boat doesn't stop. The oarsmen don't speak. They toss you a canteen with 2 mouthfuls of stale water, a flintlock pistol with a single shot, and a small sack of hardtack crawling with weevils. Then they row away. You scream until your throat splits. The sails recede on the horizon, like a cruel memory dissolving into mist. You are alone with the sound of the tide dragging bones back to sea. And crescent moon, night on the island NTHE. First night is a madness of mosquitoes, fevered thirst, and salt stinging your... You dream of your mother's kitchen, of red apples, of the way the ocean smelled when you first stepped aboard. The second day, the sun tries to boil your skull from within. NTHE third, you begin speaking to birds that aren't there. NTHE fourth, you lift the pistol. NNBUT something stops you. NTHE stars. They glisten above you, silent, indifferent, old. You stare up at them, and for the first time, realize just how tiny you are. Just how many souls have died like this. Alone. Forgotten. You laugh. You laugh until you cry. You are a pirate, and you are not even a legend. Just a mistake in someone else's story. And you wouldn't survive it. This is not a tale of buried treasure. There is no X that marks the spot. This is the true fate of most who chose the black flag. N. To vanish. To be judged not by king or court, but by those you once called brother. To die on forgotten rocks, with your bones bleached by time and tide. You wouldn't survive a pirate mutiny, NNOT, because you were weak, but because you believed it was freedom, and forgot that even in freedom, the sea demands order. You do not have a grave, only a place where the waves whisper your name in languages that no man remembers. Your hands, once calloused by sail ropes and cutlass grips, are now only memory, if memory even dares reach this far down. Your blood is long since diluted, taken by the warm current, fed to sharks and crabs, a silent sacrifice in a world that never needed your story. You were not a captain. You were not a legend. You were not even the villain. You were just one. One soul caught in the teeth of history's storm. A ghost voice in the cacophony of rebellion and rum. NNO ballads sing of you. No scrolls record you. Even your comrades, what few may remain, speak of that voyage only in mutters, as if to recall it is to call it back. You are not the kind of pirate who ends up in poems. You are the kind who ends up forgotten. Anne. Your mother would have wept if she ever found out, but she didn't. NTO her, you vanished into sea mist. One more letter never written, one more son who chased fortune and was swallowed. Your name might have been carved into the wood of the dock where you last stood. But even that wood rotted. NTHE mutiny, they say, succeeded. But no one ever says at what cost. NTHE ship limped into a port weeks later, riddled with silence and secrets. The remaining men sold its hull for coin and went separate ways, each carrying a curse in their marrow. Some drank themselves to death within a month. Some tried to become merchants and failed. Some went back to piracy and were hanged with salt in their eyes.